Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We do about 30 minutes of business before we head back to the Sunrise Daily studio, perhaps to continue that constitution issue with the Sunrise guys. But let's do business now. Starting from the global space, oil prices rebounded on Wednesday after a sharp drop in the previous session ended a 3-day streak of gains as investors have wipes between concerns about potential supply losses from Libya and the Middle East and worries about global fuel demand. Take a look at the number now, looking so green. 0.31% up is what we see for Brent, but losing that 81 that we had about this time yesterday, now at $79.80 a barrel. That's for Brent, which Nigeria deals in. For the United States WTI, it's $75.70, dropping from 77 that it had about this time, but gained a little bit, recovered a bit of what some of those losses. 0.23% is what we see, and prices are bouncing back from Tuesday's more than 2% decline, which snapped a 3-day streak of gains of more than 7%, as concerns about low refinery profit margins weighed on expectations for fuel demand amid data showing global consumption growth has been lower than forecast this year. The market was also supported by industry data released on Tuesday showing that the United States oil and fuel inventories fell last week. However, the biggest risks remain the potential loss of supply in Libya, where about 1.2 million barrels per day of production may be shut in amid a political dispute between rival government factions and an escalation of the Israel-Gaza conflict to involve militants in Lebanon and forces from Iran, which is a key Middle East producer. Several oil fields across Libya have altered output as closures spread amid a dispute over control of the central bank and oil revenue. There's still been no confirmation of any closures from the Tripoli-based government or from the National Oil Corps, which is in charge of oil resources. We look at the Naira now and see how it fared yesterday. We see for NAFEM, it was just a little bit of drop that we see there. There was mismatch between demand and supply, and so NAFEM had an appreciation yesterday to close at 1,594 Naira 27 kobo, while it was the flip side for NAFEX. We see the drop there, so going from 1,598 Naira 4 kobo to 1,602 Naira 6 kobo. And I think this captures what happened at the parallel market yesterday. I think it closed about 1,006 in the parallel market, but we still have 1,594 Naira for NAFEM at the close. So a little bit of movement right there, but still around the window that we have been seeing for the market for some time now. Now, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the FIRS, has established a 12-member anti-corruption and transparency unit. They call it ACTU, and it's to promote accountability within the agency. The unit, inaugurated by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the ICPC, is tasked with ensuring zero tolerance for corruption in tax collection. The FIRS chairman, Mr. Zach Adedeji, through his representative, emphasized that their role is crucial in maintaining public trust in the tax system. The ICPC has pledged its support to the FIRS ACTU, highlighting the unit's responsibility to monitor and improve the agency's processes, ensuring ethical conduct across all operations. Now, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has granted 6 states in the country the authority to regulate the electricity market. In a statement posted on its X page, the electricity market regulator listed states as Enugu, Ekiti, Imo, Ondo, Oyo and Edo State. Well, NERC explains that the new regulatory measure can be referred to as the Order of Transfer of Regulatory Oversight of the Electricity Market to the State Electricity Regulatory Commission, now not NERC but SERC. The Commission earlier announced in April that it had handed off the electricity regulatory oversight of Enugu, Imo, Ekiti and Ondo power companies with effect from May 1 of this year. Back in Lagos, the Nigerian National Petroleum, beg your pardon, not the Nigerian National, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has opened its 2024 conference. They call it Invest Nigeria, bringing together members of the business community, both from Nigeria and outside the country. And we also have the governor of Lagos State there, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Invest Nigeria Expo for 2024 is an initiative of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well as the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. For LCCI, the conference is pivotal towards stabilizing the economy and driving sustainable economic growth and development.
His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State,
Lagos State Governor Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu is here, and for him, driving a sustainable economic growth requires development of infrastructure.
Our administration has implemented and continue to implement policies and initiatives that will attract investment, retain investment, and let investment flourish and grow in our country. We're building the largest logistics food security hub in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. We see and we realize that we need to feed the over 20 million population that we have. And we say to ourselves that one of the ways to secure the tomorrow is to make sure that food security, which is one of the major security challenges that we have in the world, Lagos can build a logistics hub that can keep almost 90 to 120 days of supply on both dry and foodstuff. And so we're looking for opportunity and collaboration, as we complete that investment and ensuring that, we can keep Lagos safe, we can provide for the needs of Lagosians, and we can use agriculture as a strong, enabler on that.
Even more reasons for investors to look the way of Nigeria, especially the blue economy. The minister outlines attractions.
I encourage the business community to take advantage of the incentive, such as the Pioneer Status Incentive, which grant tax holidays up to 5 years for businesses in strategic sectors. Others include a range of tax incentives, such as exemption of interest on loan, deduction for research and development, reconstruction investment allowance, and rural investment allowance. There are also trade and investment promotion incentives into which investors in the marine and blue economy can tap. They include free transferability of capital returns, protection against nationalization, and recourse to international arbitration.
The International Business Conference and Expo, Invest Nigeria, which is holding on August 27 and 28, is, according to LCCI, set to strengthen partnerships with the international business community and tell the world that Nigeria is open for business. Nigeria is open for business indeed. Now, yesterday we did take this story of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, that they've started shipment of liquefied natural gas cargoes to Japan and China, and it's being delivered on ex-ship DES basis. And NNPC Limited achieved this milestone through collaboration with two of its downstream subsidiaries, which is the NNPC LNG and NNPC Shipping, which delivered its first DES LNG cargo from 174,000 metric tons to Futsu in Japan, and they started all the way in June and all of that. And having this conversation even behind the camera, one of the questions that some Nigerians have been asking is, are we done? Are we satisfied with the supply to the domestic market? Have we met domestic demand before we start talking of exports? But let's talk to someone. I mean, we're looking for FX also, and this is one way of it. So, perhaps that's the reason. But now let's speak to the Business Development Director at Cypher Crescent Limited, Mr. Anyeka Udo, joins us virtually from Port Harcourt in Rivers State. Mr. Udo, good morning, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me on the program.
Great. So the first thing I'd like for you to respond to is the worry that we are exporting when we haven't met domestic demand.
Okay, I think it's here and there. can we say we have not met domestic demand? Gas utilization in Nigeria is increasing. As you may know, we currently produce about 7.8 billion cubic feet on a daily basis, while we re-inject in the fields about 2.2 billion. Domestic demand or consumption stands at about 1.5 billion cubic feet per day, and we have an excess of that. So it is very important that we find commercial engagement to export, because for us to increase in-country utilization, in-country consumption, we need to expand the facility in which we can get the gas from the point of production, the processing, down to the consumers. And these are very capital-intensive projects. So it is a step in the right direction by the government, and we give the right commendation to the government for expanding its commercial engagement to bring in more foreign exchange, so that we need the money from the exports to build in, develop capacity, infrastructural capacity in country. You are quite aware of the gigantic gas pipeline project, the transatlantic and the African, trans-Saharan and the African Atlantic gas pipelines that are ongoing. These are huge projects, and so the export is in the right direction. And before now, of course, I want to say that the government has been, Nigeria has been exporting gas, only that the terms has changed. We've been exporting gas on the basis of free on board, which means that we just pump in the gas in the vessels, and the importers, the countries of destination, take charge of the risk. And of course, less money coming to the country. So what you are seeing now is Nigeria, NNPLC now getting involved, taking the risk by what we call delivered ex-ship. So it means that the country earns a lot of more revenue, because we are now involved in the insurance, in the shipping and all that. So it is a step in the right direction. Internal consumption, in-country consumption in gas is growing. We cannot say we've not met domestic demand so far. Demand is growing. We have in excess of, we are producing in excess of domestic demand. So it is important that we balance home consumption and export, so that the country can earn enough resources to expand facilities and infrastructure in making sure that gas gets to the right quarters within the country.
Yeah, but if we are producing in excess of domestic demand, why do we still record surge in price of LPG, cooking gas, and all of that? Even the conversion, CNG, we don't see a lot of people embracing it, because, of course, there's been a surge in price also. So what's happening in the domestic front?
Yeah, of course, these are traded in international markets, and we, of course, you are aware that subsidy has ended, and these are open to international forces of demand and supply. Because for you to do the conversion, you need a lot of investment in infrastructure. You have the LNG, which you have to compress liquefied gas up to 600 times of the volume of what it will be in gas, and it's transported under high pressure. You're aware of the heavy investment in LNG. Even the CNG, you need to really compress it, to up to 200 to 250 bar above atmospheric pressure, and the transportation. These are very capital-intensive projects. So it is easier for the meantime that you distribute the production and give to local consumption what our facility can take for now. You're not going to waste it. Are you going to flare it? Where are you going to store it? So you need to transport it. And the investment in gas before the decade of gas that we declared had been very limited. Of course, we are aware of the global concerns about the environmental impact of hydrocarbon, meaning that investments in fossil fuel is being challenged. So every country like Nigeria who is blessed with the deposits of natural gas needs to find a way to generate enough capital to be able to build infrastructure, so that you can intensify and expand local consumption. So what we have at the moment is that the Nigerian gas is being traded at an international price. You're aware of the global dynamics of prices in the international space, affecting gas supplies internationally. So that surges the price, and Nigeria is not exempted because of the current policies of the federal government which opens up the market so that it can also attract investors in that area.
I guess Nigerians would have been happier or more comfortable if they had the assurance that, okay, there's infrastructural need, to meet with the domestic demands, but we are doing this export to channel the revenue into that infrastructural gap so that, in no time, then you have that met. But I mean, I don't think we're hearing that, even though we hear the government talking a whole lot about its decade of gas and gas master plan and all.
Yeah, you are aware of the investment in the gas master plan. Currently, the AKK project, which is also to improve exports, because why you seem to see a lot of, we are a gas country, like we do say, we are a gas bearing country, a gas country with some oil. We have over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas, which is proven reserve. So what do we do with that? And you have a concern also that of the renewables almost coming on board in some spaces across the world. So that means that in the next few years, in some years to come, you may not have a good demand for gas. So you need to deplete, you need to produce, you need to increase your production. And if you increase your production and you do not have enough infrastructure in the country to process and utilize, what do you do? So you need the money from fossil fuel to transit alongside the world. We need the money, is capital intensive. So we need to ramp up production at the moment. We need more exports, commercial deals for the country. And we need also at the same time to intensify capacity building for in-country utilization. So this must go hand in hand. You cannot suspend one and leave the other. We are also aware of certain initiatives by government, including executive orders to ensure that investments are ramped up in that area so that we can improve gas utilization in country in no distant time.
So, I mean, there's PPP, which could help in this case. You talked about the cost of conversion, which is another discouraging factor from it. And even this issue of infrastructure in that space, do you see enough drive, even if it's through the PPP, in filling these gaps, whether it's the conversion, whether it's the infrastructure that is needed and all of that, and even the reorientation that the people need if we really want to embrace the renewables and gas in the middle of it?
Yeah, when there's demand and the right environment, investment is being attracted. And there is a need, the demand for energy in Nigeria is increasing. The rising cost of PMS has also made that we are now talking about CNG and all that. And we are seeing, as far as we're concerned, I think the policies so far are investment friendly. So the private players are getting more interested, in investing in the industry. So we think it is in the right direction, provided we can sustain some of the policies and also make ease of doing business, improve ease of doing business. So we stand to see more investment coming into that area. Although globally, like you would observe, there's been declining investments in fossil fuel processing. But at the same time, you can see globally there is an increased need in energy across the world. So meaning that we need to balance this. And Nigeria being blessed with a lot of deposits that are reserved in gas resources, we believe that this is going to attract private participation more than what we are seeing in due cost. And the initial cost, I think what we are seeing is that we are running almost on a very limited infrastructure. By the time the country improves infrastructure and steps on infrastructure to the level that, the new entrants, all you need to do is probably most of your costs should be in the processing cost, not infrastructure development, which is very capital intensive. This, I would believe, would see prices of conversion, prices of processing come down to the extent that the prices for the final consumer will eventually begin to come down.
So you talked about a sustainable policy on the one hand. You also talked about, having more players there, the ease of doing business. If you were to point one or two policies that you think should be given attention at this time, for this proliferation of gas, which ones would you suggest? Yeah,
we've seen the executive order that seems to reduce taxes, levies on companies that are playing in gas infrastructure development. So that is a step in the right direction. And because if we improve gas utilization in the country, I think it's one criterion that can really spark Nigeria's industrial revolution, so to speak. So we would like to see more of encouragement, more of duty relaxation, tax rebate to countries or to companies who are directly, involved in the processing, development of infrastructure, development of technologies for development of gas resources in Nigeria. That will really help to speed up the utilization of gas in country, expansion or proliferation of industries that are currently struggling with energy costs. That will really be very helpful.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Nyekanudo, for your perspective this morning. I would certainly hope that we would see those gaps and those policies being given attention to drive more of gas usage in the country. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Let's take a break now. When we come back from that break, we'll come back, of course, with the market numbers, how it closed yesterday before we head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio. But let's take a commercial break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Watching Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. A bit of market numbers now from yesterday. We see that the market, the NGX, Nigeria Stock Exchange, retained that green color for a second trading day. Even though I did see a news, we'll give you more on that on subsequent programs, that the foreign intervention or foreign interaction at the NGX has reduced, I think, for the second quarter. All that, we'll give you details of that later. But it seems the local investors are driving the market in spite of a reduction of foreign investors. So yesterday, the market closed positive again, 96,510.13. It gained 0.49%, and 272 billion naira was added to the market cap. And then the market cap is still at 55.437 trillion naira. Driver yesterday, I think, came from the oil and gas counter. Huge move there. We see banking, yes, did well. The Fugas, Zenith Bank and First Bank and all of that. Consumer goods also was up 0.45%. Industrial goods slightly up. Insurance, the penny stocks gaining momentum and growing right there. But oil and gas is really where to look at this time. We've seen consistent gain on that counter. O&O has been top on the news since they finished that acquisition of Ajip Nigeria. It seems investors just want to get a share of it. So we've seen O&O driving that. Seplat did join this time. Eternal Oil also did join. And so we see that the oil and gas counter was up 4.14%. I don't know if it's too late for you to cut a bit of the share of that gains from O&O. Perhaps you just have to consult to find out what that is about. And then looking at the top trades at the NGX at the close of Tuesday, straight Veriscap. Veriscap is, we've seen it for a second consecutive day now in the top trades So whether a penny stock or not, and so you see the reason why the insurance counter was in the green yesterday. Accessco, part of the Fugas, gained, of course, yesterday and made the top trades at the close of trade. So it's an interesting market. That's the NGX at this time, even though even though the foreign investors seem to be, losing a bit of steam in their participation at the NGX. The local investors are taking their places there, and so that's why we saw a green market for a second trading day this week. Now look at the smaller market, the NASD. And we see it also green, very green, in fact, gained 4.12% at 1,641.41. Market cap has crossed to 2 trillion naira, so 2.25 trillion naira. And for the activity chart, it was all green yesterday. From the volume was up 162. One of these days, I think we should really do a conversation on this market. 162, more than 162% increase in volume as well as value is something to look out for. So it might be a smaller market, but they're also getting some attention. 78 deals yesterday and 8 stocks traded at the close of Tuesday's trade. We do promise you a fuller conversation on the market as well as other business and economic issues. That'll be on Business Incorporated, the way we do it at 1 p.m. I'll be here with Anita Edet, and we'll take you around the world of business in 55 minutes to give you the details that you need to know. For now, let's head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio.